Hi, it's Amy Chappell from Embroidery Designs, and today I'm here to share with you how to do a satin stitch. We're going to be working on this cozy ornament from my word ornament embroidery series that you can find in my Etsy shop. But this satin stitch can be used in any number of ways, and it is such a fun stitch to know. I have my needle loaded up with my thread with a knot in it, and the first thing that I'm going to do is choose which section to work on. I find satin stitches easiest to practice in a straight across area, and so we're going to work on this little section right here of the mitten. Now you can choose which direction you want to go, if you want to go across this way or if you want to go up and down. I like to go up and down just because a shorter length makes it a little bit easier. So I'm just going to start bringing my needle up in the corner of my area that I'm going to cover with satin stitches. Now the trick with satin stitch is that you want your stitches to lay as flat as possible. Basically what you're doing is you're creating a bunch of stitches laying right next to each other that fills in the whole area. So I've gone from one end to the other of the area that I'm going to be covering with my satin stitch, and now I'm going to bring my needle back up right next to where my first stitch started, and then I'm going to go back down into the area right next to the top of that. And you'll see that those stitches lay nicely right next to each other. Now, if you find that you have put a little bit too big of a gap, I'm going to try to do it on purpose here, in between your two stitches. See if this one will show. So you can see that you can see some fabric underneath it. Then just go back and fill in with another stitch in between those two to fill in that hole. So it's a pretty forgiving stitch, and you just are going to keep doing that all the way across, going up through the bottom of the area that you're covering and back through. Now a tip when you get to, got a little knot going on here. A little tip when you get to this area where you have the triangles here is you're going to choose which direction you want your stitches to go. If you want them to go this way, you could follow this line. I always find it's easiest to start with a line that you're going to follow, and then you're just going to keep your stitches going that same direction, even though as your triangle gets smaller, your stitches are going to get smaller. And the same thing with this area here. If you start going up and down over here, just keep them going up and down, even though your stitches will get shorter and shorter at this end. So that's your satin stitch. It's a really fun, beautiful way to fill in large areas of embroidery.